And our next presenter, many of us know the latest Twitter stars sharing their charting skills, technical analysis skills, but only some of us know the man behind those stars. Any guesses? Yes, it's Mr. Enes Vidai. Beyond being a technical analyst, he is a trainer, mentor, and a clear-headed thinker. Mr. Vidai started his career with DCB in 1990, and that was the first time he started investing with zero knowledge of technical analysis. His earlier years were about investing in IPOs and getting stock ideas from business magazines. But his investing style took a dramatic shift in 2004 when he started applying technical analysis on fundamentally sound stocks. Mr. Vidai is a self-taught technical analyst who has figured out things that work in markets and are not written in any of the technical analysis books. Vidai sir is also a very good storyteller, and today he will take us through the history of Indian markets and will help us prepare for the future. Over to you, Vidai sir.
Thank you, Rupa. Very good afternoon, rather good evening to all of you. It's a pleasure to be part of TCIC again. Been a fantastic year, rather I would say, like in this 1 year we have been associated twice, and both the times for a beautiful cause of SRTRAC. So my sincere thanks to all the participants who have made their contributions to this beautiful cause. And yes, guys, so what we are trying to do in the session is we are trying to see rather 4 decades, and Kunal has made a beautiful presentation which it seems would be I would be resonating whatever he has said almost. So maybe you guys may feel that we are means almost on the talking same things. What I would think about it in a different way is when you need confirmations, and maybe what Kunal has done is confirm my view, and what I'm going to do is I may confirm Kunal's view. So basically most of the time we want a double confirmation. Let's say we go to a doctor and some doctor tells us that there is a big problem that you need to get operated or do some procedure or something, and you would take a double opinion. So I think I will be coming with a double opinion, but with a little bit more to offer, because I'm not going to check Nifty, rather I'm going to look at Sensex, and we'll see why, right? So guys, let's jump into it. Well, future is nothing but past, and Sir Arthur Wing Pinero gave beautiful words to that thought. I believe the future is only the past again entered through another gate. So maybe let's see what future holds for us through what past is telling us, right? First thing we need to understand is, are we in a black swan event? Are we living the history? Because if we are going to live the history, and if the history is what has history done, and why we are talking about it as a black swan event. Well, to tell you the truth, the Indian equity markets is being charted since 1979, while Nifty started somewhere in 90s. So Sensex was the you can say front runner. There was a Bombay Stock Exchange only at that time, and then local stock exchanges across the states, right? So basically we have larger data on Sensex, and it gives us when you are looking at very long-term perspectives, then you need to as Kunal had also said, that you need to see longer term charts and understand how to do that. So yeah, so if you look at the time frame now, we are almost in the 41st year, so we have completed 40 years of charting on Indian equity markets, and we have had our share of ups and downs. The journey was from, let's say, the a base of 100 points to 42,273 just 3 months ago, right? And that was a fantastic journey. If you look at it, it's like every year you have added some multiples. So basically what we need to see is how, there were events before 92, before means 2000. Like lots of people are comparing this current event to 2008, but I would be more inclined to rather compare it with 2000, and I will tell you why also. But then again, it is not 2000, it is 2020, and the thing that we'll see how they are different and how they are similar, right? But the amount of shock and awe that we have seen in this current market, and the way the markets have reacted in this year, in just 3 months, it has wiped out almost 5-6 years of gains, absolutely, in just 3 months kind of time. So for me, it has never been like I'm 50-year-old, and if I remember well, at least since, let's say, I started working in 1990. So last 30 years I've been associated with markets and been an avid reader of newspapers since I was in 6th standard. So you can say even 10 years back. So since I was 10 years somewhere, I was able to, I had that habit of reading newspapers. And I can tell you, in my 50 years of existence on this planet Earth, I have not come across this kind of event ever. Like there were never we did not have any war since so many years since the Sensex has been into existence. Plus, since I was born, also you can say. So basically, what you can see is this. This is nothing but a bigger war, larger war, and it is against an enemy nobody has seen. So, and it struck us means just out of the blue, and now we are grappling to come out of it. But if we go back to history and maybe go to a different time frame and then different market, and then look at the global context, so then you can say 1919 or somewhere in that period, means there was a global pandemic at that time called Spanish flu. And that Spanish flu actually obliterated, millions of people across the globe, and had impacted the US, Europe very badly, right? So we Indians did not have to face much, or we don't have much to even remember. But we had our share of plagues and famines, and and various kind of floods across over a period of time. But those would be limited to a limited area. Now this is something that is covering the whole globe rather. No, nobody or no one, or you can say none of us human beings are being spared of this. So this is something that is unseen, unheard, you can call it unprecedented. Though these terms are so oftenly flouted around, and even I'm flouting it, but can't help it, there are no other words to describe this whole thing, right? Okay, now look at this. This is Sensex chart of since 1979 to 2020. So it's almost like 41 years, you can see in front of you. And this is what was happening in those 40 years. The Sensex, like if you look at this one single trend line, if I would adjust a little bit here and there, I have just taken two major points on the chart, and I have tried to connect the dots, this dot here and this one here. And what we see is first time ever in last 40 years we have broken below that line. It has never occurred before. Maybe in 2000 we had a kind of case where we had a little bit of scare and we had a breakdown. Okay, now look at this. This is what I'm talking about, the mischief, the breakdown. Because here in 2000 this was not there, right? So the beyond the circle nothing was there. So even this first circle was not there. So if you look at this point which I have connected to the line, and I have earlier black line, I have made it, colored it red. So now look at this, the black line I have shifted to this point in 2000 bottom, and look at it, just 2 years later it gave a breakdown below. And best part about this breakdown was it did not break the previous low. This low was not broken. Rather, it made two bottoms after that, and both the bottoms were higher bottoms. I would think I should show you it on the chart actually. So rather it would give you more of sense of yeah, uh, you can say being part of the history rather. Let's shift this chart. See this beauty. There is something learning. Some simpler things to learn here. Look at this chart now. If you look at this chart, the whole chart becomes evident more from 2002 onwards, and then you have this 2020 huge up move. But if you look at from 1979, it doesn't show anything. It's like almost like one single horizontal line, and then a little jump in 89, 90, kind of 92, 92, right? So that happened, and that made a bump on the chart. But seriously, is this how the Indian markets moved? Because this is a normal linear chart, the arithmetic series chart. And the arithmetic series chart is basically where the units are 100, 100, 100, and you keep on adding hundreds to the previous points, and then you get this. So this is normal linear arithmetic chart, right? Now let's shift to semi-log chart or log chart as it is known. Now look at this. This 79 to 92 became the largest, it covers the largest part of your chart. And 2003 onwards to up to now, it is not so huge. Why? Because see, this was what 3000, and we read 42,000 approximately. Right? So 3 to 42,000 would work out to almost like 14x. But 100, somewhere in hundreds, from 100 to 42, 45, sorry, 45 is almost 45x or 44x. And this happened in just 13 years of time. So that's the reason it is taking larger area, because this chart is calculated on percentage basis. And if you look at this whole structure, now you will see the largest, biggest fall. I will try to map them out for you. Okay, so first we'll try to map out, and then we'll try to see on our presentation. So this is one of them where the rally was huge, substantial. If you look at this whole structure from here to there, okay, from this bottom to this top, and then this correction. So that is one. So Kunal had pointed out, 6. I would rather show you 7. Okay, so this is the second one where the rally actually started from this point, and we made a top somewhere here, and the bottom here, right? So this is what happened. So this was the correction from where we went up substantially, and the correction lasted for quite a long time. That is more important. See, when you look at corrections, 2-3 months of correction wouldn't account for correction, or maybe 2 quarters of a correction, or rather I would say more of you can say a bull reversal, or a secondary reaction to a bullish move that should happen. Then the third one happened in 2000 rather. So the rally happened somewhere from this point, and then it stretched up to this. So this is our third correction, right? So yeah, this is what is where we are capturing the third correction, this point rather. Then you had the fourth one, which is somewhere from here to here, and the rally was substantially large, like from this area. Just imagine, it was such a huge rally, but still not comparable to 1992. Okay, then we had this. Doesn't look like a correction, but it is a substantial one in the sense that it had consumed lots of time. So you have to, now you're learning about how the corrections happen. Okay, the corrections happen in 2 ways. One is price correction, another is time correction. So what usually we as a technical analyst try to understand from all this moves is how the rally happened, what happened at the top, and what happened at the bottom, how the bottoms formed. Did it have a V-shaped recovery, or did it not have a V-shaped recovery? So if you have to have a V-shaped recovery, what is what are the things that you need to see, and what are, if there is not going to be a V-shaped recovery, then what can happen? So, so these are the 7 false corrections that we have seen in Indian market, which are of substantial nature, right? So this is the first one, which is from 86 to 88, then 1992, 93, that is Harshad Mehta period, then 2000 top to 2001 to, right? So up to here, 2001. And then you had a top in 2008, which is what people keep talking about. And this is where it ended in just 10 months. And then you had this top where index actually made a double top exactly at that point, and then corrected for almost like 13, 14 months, right? So this is where it ended. And then you had another correction from the top of almost like 30,000, it went down all the way. But again, the correction was more of a time correction. What we are witnessing is just the price correction that we see in current times. Okay, now so yeah, so I've tried to show you and this is the close-up of what's happening right now. Okay, and we have written the lines exactly as they were, and look at this. The previous line, which was respected earlier, is way above, right? It is like 33% or more above. And currently, what we are seeing is we have just come and closed within this line as of last Friday, that is yesterday. But that is still giving us a hope. So I usually say, but means that you can hope for the best, but always prepare for the worst. So let's try to take you through this. What is the hope? Where is the hope, and what is the worst that can happen? Now look at this. Why I'm calling this as a black swan event again? On technical basis, this is VIX, and it had moved up almost like up to 65. On closing basis, there's a line chart, so we are looking at it from closing perspective. And right now it has come down a little bit. So it has. Let's see where it is right now. We have the charts open, so we'll see them. Look at this. It had gone all the way. Now this is something. It had not gone. Like 65 was the closing approximately. But look at this whole structure. Now we are not talking about weekly chart. We are talking about monthly, and this is what it did, right? So it went up all the way up to huge. Now don't look at this, previous levels, because that was the beginning of the VIX. It was just started, and it was not properly, you can say, calculated or done well. Okay, so there were mistakes over there. Now you see this, how beautifully it was. It is functioning since, you can say, 2010 onwards. So rather we should be looking at last 10 years of VIX than whatever data is available. So data can be corrupted, and data has to be seen in a proper way. So this is the event, and right now, even though we have closed wherever we have closed after so much of correction, we are still far above. We are above. Anything above 30 is a dangerous territory. So see this, above 30, rarely it holds above 30. Now this time it has gone above 30, beyond almost 3x above 30, and then has corrected but hasn't come down substantially. The best part is when the markets are here, where usually it is said anything below 20s is where the call writers make money. Above 20 is where option buyers make money, and above 30 you make money, like you get multi-baggers in days. So this is what happened with us. So we had multi-bagger kind of returns if you are buying call options in last few weeks, rather, I would say. So this is the week story, right? So this has been one of the worst kind of VIX moves. Rather, it could be the best move for depending on which side of the market you are. But the worst in the sense, like when you are looking at from the perspective of, I'm not only looking at, see, it's not VIX, it's India VIX, and when you call India VIX, that means there is something wrong. The VIX means volatility index, and volatility is visible only when there is high fear. Okay, so volatility is nothing but it tries to capture the emotion of fear of humans, and it shows it on the chart. So basically what we have seen is the highest amount of fear ever in the history of Indian markets. Okay, that's the reason maybe I am terming it as a black swan event, other than my, whatever the experiences, I would say. Now, what we are going to do, we are going to see this correction. So what are the quantification we would like to see for any correction is either they should be 25% or more, or they should consume more 4 quarters of time correction. So basically 4 quarters means 1 year kind of. So within 4 quarters, it could be 9 or 10 months also, because third quarter would overlap into, because the 10th month would overlap into the fourth quarter. So that's the reason. So let's try to decode. Mostly it has been seen by you, but let's try to again see it in the form of numbers. So if you look at this, how like this rally happened from May 84 to 86, the index jumped from 233 to 658. The fantastic returns, 282% kind of returns on your initial investment of around, let's say, index in 233, it jumped up to 658. But after that, first fall happened in December 86. So the fall carried on for almost 6 months, and the reaction was 176 points, and the percentage terms it was 27%. Then we had a small recovery. We'll try to see that on chart also. So I'm trying to show you like the chart later on, so you realize what we are trying to see. Okay, so in February 87, there was a bounce back from this bottoms of 482. Market jumped up 96 points, and that was 20% recovery. Now, please understand, fall was 27%, recovery was 20%, right? Again, fall was 28%, and recovery was just 21.55%. And then you had third fall, which was substantially a milder one when you compare the other two. But when you look at the whole context, the second fall had consumed, and had from the peak price of 659, the index had dropped 37%, and that too within a year. Okay, and then finally we had the end of the correction when the market actually made the low at 390, and we had lost 41% of the from the peak. Okay, now let's see the chart. So this is what it is. From 233 it went up all the way up to 659. Then this dip happened. After this dip, this was the bounce, then again a dip, again a bounce, dip, bounce, and then finally the dip, and this was the bottom. If you look at this, after this dip, there was a huge big candle happened on the chart, and that's where you hadn't seen any kind of this big candle except here, where it made an attempt but could not sustain. Next month there was no follow-up in this. If you see on the chart, there was enough follow-up. It continued moving upwards after that. So if you look, this is a monthly chart, and look at how the corrections, this pain, the process of falling is not continuous or single-sided. What we have seen 3 months of fall, like this is 3 months of fall, but that was not as painful as we had in 2020, right? And then 1 month of upside, and then again 3 months of bottom making, and then again 3 months of going up, then again 5 to 6 months of going down. So the process is quite painful when it goes keeps on going down. Now look at this whole, at the end of the structure of this, the fall is actually tapering off. It's falling, but it's not falling steeply. Like this fell steeply, this fell gradually. So this is what you should note when you are looking at, if you want to see the end of this bear move, whatever we are seeing in 2020. So this is one which Kunal had made a falling wedge kind of pattern. So this is nothing but similar kind of falling wedge pattern, right? So yeah, so now we go to the next Harshad Mehta period, where again from those three bottoms of 390, just look at how far the index rose. It went up all the way, like it gave you humongous returns of 1166% on the upside. And after that, the fall was like crazier. Now this is one of the biggest and major falls Indian market had ever witnessed, because of the scam breaking out about Harshad Mehta misusing the banking channels. Now, beautiful thing to note about any fall across any equity markets is that usually it is the banks which are at the center, or you can say at the whole crux of the fall. I don't know, but that is the truth. The financial institutions, because I believe there's, money is what they play with, and money is the, you can say, the raw material for markets, and that is the source, and that's how the whole thing impacts the economies in a big way. So most of the time you will see the financials get the largest hit, in the uh, any kind of fall that you will see ever. So financials are like, I would say, commodity or cyclical businesses, where the worst is has to be, first they get hit and then they move the biggest. So maybe we'll see how that works out again. Okay, so we had 44% of fall from the peak. Okay, and that too in just 4 months. And then next month it gave a bounce. Look at the bounce, 37%. That is like fantastic returns, right? Because 37%, that's what we are witnessing in current market. Many of your stocks must have moved up 40, 50, and there are some stocks which have moved almost 100%, depending on which sector they are, what fancy they have, or what sort of, the people who are, managing those businesses, and what is the future potential, we don't know, but at least people are buying because people feel that, there is a possibility that those stocks will do well in future. Okay, after that again it fell. Now 44% fall, 37% means, you can say, recovery. And then you had another fall which was 32%, and the recovery was very muted, 22%. And then you had 32% of final fall, and overall, when you look at the whole structure, we had lost from the peak of 4546, we had dropped to 1980, and that was 56.45%. That is quite a substantial number, and we are looking from the peak. We are not looking at the bottom to top of the rally and trying to show this as a 61.8%. Rather, I'm trying to show you the actuality of what happened. Okay, so this was the chart. Look at this rally from 390 to 4546, and this bottom, and look at this, how the first fall, 4 months, the dip, and then the bounce. So the bounce started in the fifth month and just carried for 2 months only. So 1 month later, it made a top and then started going down. Again, you had a bottom somewhere here, and that we have already seen. We have calculated those numbers and made a top which could not sustain, and then again this major crash happened in 19, and you had a bottom of 1980. Now let's look at this Ketan Parekh period. Now what happened in between Ketan Parekh and Harshad Mehta? Like you look at it, 92, and we are talking about straight away to 2000. So some beautiful observations there also. Let's remove this, yeah. So what we have is the index moved up substantially like a rocket, you can say. Nowadays we see lots of rockets again in the social media, people talking about rockets. Now this is what happened. This was the rally that happened. Then look at this and you will be amazed. The whole thing was like, you can say, it fell and it was like a flag. Look at this, beautiful. I connected this top. I have not connected this top. Let me show it to you. Let me do it like this. I connected the top of 4546, and look at this. And look at the beauty, how technical analysis comes into play. Look at the 2008 correction taking support on, exactly on the channel top, which was the earlier resistance price coming to this area. Now, if you look at one more observation, 1979 to 92, 13 years. Then 92 to 2005, where we gave a breakout. So let's look at, 2005, where we gave a breakout. Again, 13 years. So this was the 13-year rally that we saw, then 13 years. Now 2005, we had to, actually we are, delayed. This fall is come 2 years later. Current fall is 2 years late. Look at this. 13 years, 13 years, 13 years. So 39 years, and now we have 2 years later, we see a correction happening. So seriously, correction was expected somewhere here, which never happened in 2017, 18, where it should have gone, and maybe we would have been in better shape. Now, there is a lot of comparison that US markets are going up and we are not going up. But we'll try to decode that also. We'll try to understand. So why US markets have gone up so high and we are not actually showing that kind of strength. And if you are going to look at the whole perspective from US markets, I'm not trying to say anything or against what Viram has said, but we are trying to analyze what has happened in the current context. Like we need to understand the participants that are part of the rally in Indian equity markets and what happened in US equity markets. So some beautiful observations for you. The time correction. This was a correction. Can you imagine index making a top of 4546 in 92, peaked out. After that, made a small move but failed. Okay, that was a 10-15% kind of move but failed. But it was again at the top of the channel. So seriously, it had to sustain, close, and go above. So that did not happen and failed. Okay. Then again, it made a attempt in 2004, and you wouldn't believe this. 2004 April, sorry, May 17 May 2004, Sensex fell 16%. Guys, 16% on a single day. That is the record fall ever in percentage terms. Don't look at points, but think about, because it's not about points always, it's all about the percentage when you are comparing, right? So that was the worst ever fall that you would ever see in Indian equity markets when it rallied substantially, but this was so short term and short lived, and then you had a V-shaped recovery. Okay, so it turned out that it was part of the bull run correction rather, though it was a substantial one. If you look at this, from 6,250 we fell almost to 4,227. That was 33%. So it would have qualified as a correction. But seriously, why I did not take it into consideration is because of the time factor. Okay, because it just took 2 quarters and then reversed very sharply, and then within 4 quarters it was almost back to where it started. Now, yeah. So now we come back to our chart. So this is what happened before Ketan Parekh. So why did Ketan Parekh, we consider this? It is part of this whole. It doesn't show big move on the chart, but when you look at it from this perspective, just look at this much, and you will realize it's a huge move. It's a humongous move from 2040. It almost more than doubled, 6,150 within a short time, just 1.5 years. Okay, and then it went into correction mode. And look at this first fall, 3 months. This is what happened. This is what is hitting us, not 2008. 2008 is nowhere nearby. Look at this 6,150 and 3,830. Now calculate the percentage of fall if you want to. Let's see, calculator, yeah. And we'll reduce 3,831 from 6,150. 6,151. 3,832 divided by 6,151. 37%, guys, in just 4 months. So what you are witnessing is very similar to 2000 and not 2008. 2008 was a bit different. We'll see how it was different. It was not so sharp, not so severe as this one, the 2001. Now what happened in 2000? Why you must all remember Y2K if you are old enough to remember that computers were supposed to change from those their programs had bug. They had only considered that maybe up to 1999, and they did not know how to put 00 because 00 would take it to 1900 also, or 1800. So they did not have any systems to change those things. So Indian software programmers got huge job, and companies like Wipro, TCS, and Infosys actually made a killing of all that. And then there were so many fly-by-night companies also which came into existence because of always there is always an possibility that every sunrise or the major hero industry will always, you will see that there will be a crop up of those kind of companies, the fly-by-night operators or crook companies, right? So that's what happened. And look at this rally. So it was humongous, though it was in a very bear market kind of scenario where things were not so good. But the correction was deep and sharp, and it kept on going up down up to 2001 September. Now look at this. We had almost like substantial amount of almost how many months? 18 months of correction almost, and the correction was 58%. And I'll tell you, if you want to know how Infosys behaved in this time, let's try to see Infosys in this period. So you'll get a perspective of what can happen to hero industries. And even Wipro, like which are you believe are the heroes, but then those heroes had to face their, maybe the worst period of their life in that, and they had to come out, means like a hero only. They have to fight back. So yeah, let's change this and let's look at Wipro. This is 2000 rise. Look at this rally from 98. From 4 rupees 45 paisa adjusted for bonuses and splits, it went all the way to 367. That is 90x, guys. 91, 92x. Okay, 91x at least. And from there, look at the bottom. 28. Do you know what is the percentage this works out to? It is less than 10%. Means the correction was deeper. It was almost like 94% on Wipro. So as I told you, hope for the best but prepare for the worst. So you need to understand this time. Like in 3 months, just imagine, look at this. From 367.50, in 3 months you saw 55. That is like what? Crazy, like 70% wiped out. Okay, almost 80% wiped out. More than 80% rather. Then you had a bounce, so there was an opportunity to exit. So guys, relate please. When I'm saying something, there is a reason that I'm showing you all this. There is a reason to relate it to context. The history is always there. It is visible. And history repeats. We as a technical analyst have a firm belief that history repeats, and I would say you would also see that in your life also history does repeat itself over a period of time. And see how the whole bottom took a longer time. It was like almost 3 years kind of period where there were jumps but could not sustain, and finally from those bottoms of 30 rupees odd, Wipro jumped up to crazy kind of 155, so 5x. So no, things will happen, but we don't know how long they can prolong and how long we can be in this kind of. So I don't become despondent. Okay, we'll try to understand. We'll try to make sense out of this whole madness. Now look at Infosys if you want to. This is 2008. Let's go and see what happened in 2008. Yeah, this is the where it made a bottom. Look at before it made the bottom. This is where it was. 8 rupees 36 paise. It had come with an IPO. So basically it was 100 rupees IPO price, right? And you won't believe Infosys IPO devolved. It's a news for you, right? So 8 rupees has grown to 215 rupees. Again, fantastic returns, 60-70% kind of returns. Then see what happened. It made a bottom somewhere in at 33 rupees. Now look at this peak and 33 rupees. That is 85%, guys. 215.16 to 34 rupees 50 paisa. 86% rather. Infosys had fallen from, this was actually almost like 10,000 if I'm not mistaken, adjusted for bonuses and splits and whatever, and has fallen to 33.6. So even dividends were adjusted in this chart sometimes. So this is the reason it has shown this kind of crazy kind of fall. Okay, so this is what happened to Infosys. You would like to see some other companies which are listed, maybe not here. I don't know if it is showing here. Yeah, it is showing here. So this has never been able to come back, this company. Though it is still a survivor, 26 rupees went up crazy types, 100 times, 90x. and first fall in 2 months just took it to 834. From, just imagine, 2500 to 834, that is like 700, rather 715. So you lost 70% in just a single fell swoop. And just look at the way the whole thing went to 25 and even lower than right now. Also it is trading much below 25 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it is at around 9-10 rupees, just imagine. So this company has made lots of efforts, it is in profits, but still look at this whole chart, it is unable to revive back itself. Though it is making profits and it has had some negativity attached to it, because this was supposed to be K9 stocks or Ketan Parekh's K9 top investments rather. So there were other names also, Pentamedia, and there was another Pentamedia, and other various companies from this. So just wanted to give you a fair idea what can happen, the worst can, what could be the worst thing. You may lose 90 or 100% of your investment in a particular stock, depending on whether that stock has been the hero of the previous bull market, right? So you have to determine which are the heroes and which will be the possible into going into the danger territory in future, in near future, that is in current times. Okay, we go to next and look at this. So maybe this presentation will be shared with you, so you'll be able to go through it. Then we had 2008, the biggest of what people talk about. Again, look at this whole thing. The fall was 63%, and that is the reason people talk about it as it was one of the worst. And this is what we are comparing. While you saw the comparison is more apt to 2000 than 2008. The reason being, this fall was just 31%. That fall was 40+%. Go and check. Let's go and check that. That fall was 2000 to 38%, right? So it was 38% and you had 31%. So that is a huge difference, 7% difference, right? Then the reversal was just 21%, and we have a much better reversal right now. Okay, then again the next correction happened, that was almost 29%, and then it fell 50%. Can you imagine 50% from the last fall? That is like crazy, right? From 15,600 approximately 580, you fall to 7,700. That is again a big fall of 50%. Overall, we saw the impact was 64% from the peak. So this is what can happen, and this is what has happened. So maybe we are in a combination of 2000 and 2008 rather, and this was the whole rally that we had seen, and this is what you can see this chart along with the previous table. Okay, yeah, then this is the 2010, which was like comparatively you can say much easier to digest. But then I will tell you, I was a sub broker up to 2013, from 2006, and during 2010, 11, 12, we had painful times. There were no phone calls coming through, because people had already seen 2008, a little recovery, and then people had just started feeling better, and then you had 2010 coming and hitting you badly again. So that is where the most broking businesses went out of the business, absolutely. And even I shut the shop in 2013, and I gave it away to one of my friends. So basically, I'll just give you a fair bit of idea that I was generating a brokerage of something like around 2.5 lakh to 3 lakh rupees per month in those times. Okay, and without doing any FNO. Can you imagine, just cash stocks and no doing FNO, and generating a brokerage of 2,000, because we were charging a substantial brokerage. We were premium, like because we used to give advisory services also to our clients. So basically, we used to charge half a rupee as a brokerage, 50 paisa, right, which is not heard of right nowadays. And we used to charge 10 paise on intraday, which is the normal delivery currently, and even the zero that doesn't charge you anything for delivery. So what I'm trying to give you is, this is what happened in those periods, and this is where the broking business actually went boost from this in this correction. The fall was only 28% overall when you look at the whole structure. But every time, if you look at this fall, the reversals have not been bigger than the fall. So that is one thing that you need to understand. 18% correction, 15, 20, 14, 15. So basically what you are seeing is the larger corrections and smaller the recoveries. Okay, so this is the chart of 2010 and 11, and then you had currently 2015-16. We had this kind of fall where 25% was the total correction from the peak price of, you can say, 30,000 points. Okay, so from 30,000 we fell to 22,500, so exactly almost like 25%. And look at this whole thing: 12%, 9%, 13%, 11%, 18%. So what can happen? What does the chart tell you? What does it tell you? That falls are sharper, the recoveries are weak. So are we seeing a sharper recovery? Are we seeing a bigger recovery than what we have seen in the current fall? No. So that now comes, that is where now we need to realize that this is our current move, and we have seen 23% or 25% kind of recovery till date. Okay, so that is a substantial recovery, but again, it is not more than 40%. So only a recovery of more than 40-45%, much higher, is what you need to see first thing to actually come out of this kind of situations. Okay, and right now we are just at 25.27%. So we, from the top, when we are looking at the current perspective, we are at almost like 32,000. Okay, and we are humans, we have just seen a 25% correction in the index. But now let's look at why Sensex I believe, and I don't believe Nifty as much. Now look at this chart. Maybe we'll try to see it now in reality just as it is, because this was made a day before. So we'll try to see as of yesterday, when all the data has been captured, on Friday also. Okay, and we'll see what has happened. Okay, so look at this and look at this is what people are saying, that it is given a breakout of this, but the bigger wedge is, it's a rising wedge. Now understand one simple thing: if a falling wedge is a kind of consolidation pattern, the opposite of falling wedge is a rising wedge. Now can you see a rising wedge here, these two black lines? So that is what we are seeing right now. It is a opposite of consolidation would be distribution. So my dear friends, we need to be very careful that we are in the process of being distributed the stock that they don't want to hold in their portfolios. Okay, or they don't want to, they want to get out, and that is how. And if you look at the volumes on the markets, they are lackluster volumes. And actually, why lackluster? Because the demand is less and participation is lesser. So people who are stuck are just happy to see their, portfolios getting somewhat, bulkier from where they had gone. They had gone all the way up to, you can say, a stage where they would not rather see the portfolios to where they have been able to open their and see, okay, less, I have a little bit less of all, this thing losses. So they are able to open their eyes. Like you would realize, like, when things are not well or somebody's trying to hit you, try to cover yourself. That's what happened with the first move in the current fall, right? You covered your eyes and you said, shut down the world, and you felt everything is like, you try to forget whatever is happening around you. So that's how we shut down ourselves. But the reality is, just shutting down the eyes doesn't close or end whatever the problems are happening. It just gives you a feeling of placebo rather. Like look at this Nifty is much beyond. Look at the same chart I have drawn. If you want to see, just say this again. This is what happened on Sensex, and this is what is happening on Nifty. Now Nifty is trying to give a breakout on the chart. Right now it is almost touching the top of the black lines, while Sensex is just crossed above the red line, or just up to the red line. It is yet to even go to the black line. Both of the indices are very similar. Their constituents are a bit different, but then the major constituents, the top 30 are part of Sensex. So basically Nifty has other 20 which have zero relevance or much little relevance on the, because they don't have that much weightage. We have to understand the market cap of those stocks. Now let's try to see what happened on Sensex as of, just and Nifty also in last 2 days, right? Yesterday rather, Friday. You come to daily chart. Now look at this chart. Now if I draw this, okay, so this is too far away. Now this was the point, this was almost like a horizontal line which was not allowed to go beyond. The index did not go beyond that. And today we had a gap up, on Friday we had a gap up move just above it. So it looks like a breakout, but if you're not watching this line, then I'm telling you there is a signal here, right? And that is going to stop you from going further up. Now, another thing that, can play out is, which we had not shown on the chart, is this. This is what can play out. The markets can rise a little bit more because of whatever, however they want to trap us. So basically this is another possibility. So let's remove this. We don't need this right now. It has become inconsequential at the moment. So these are the two important points to see. Now note points for yourself. This is the Nifty level, sorry, Sensex level of 32,600 odd to 32,700 odd, because see, this is on daily chart. So tomorrow Monday that would be 32,800, and it is a dynamic line, so it will keep on changing to 33,000. So remember 32,650 to 33,000 is the major resistance zone at the moment. Then if it gives a false move, because mostly before we have a correction there will always be a false move most of the time, either mostly Nifty. Because why Nifty, tell me. Sorry, I'm asking you the question, but I'll try to answer your question for you. Is because Nifty is a traded index and Sensex is not a traded index. So please understand, if I have to trap you, I have to trap you where you are trading. I cannot trap you where you are not even looking at it. Okay, so my signals on Sensex would be more reliable than they would be on Nifty. So that is something that you can carry home with you as a thought, and also in your analysis in future, right? So this is what we are seeing, and then maybe 1,000-point upside or 800-point upside is possible maximum. And if you want to know what is Nifty level, just divide by 3. Okay, so you will get a fair bit of idea. But let's look at the Nifty also from that perspective. So you can note down the Nifty levels also. Now look at Nifty. This is considering yesterday's move also, right? Almost same kind of structure, same rising wedge, which even Kunal showed. So we are looking at same data most of the time, but there is a change in perspective many times. Like people look at from different perspective. Like look at this, how it has come, and just this is the top two black lines we had seen in Sensex, while in Nifty it is almost at the top of the black line. In case of Sensex, it is just broken above this here. Like this was the, if you want to see the relative one, then this was the Sensex point. Just look at this. Now this is what the Nifty is showing you. Now there could be another possibility, and that is which I had just drawn for you on Sensex. So we create a parallel line of this, or yeah. So Nifty may move like that. So these are the best case scenarios. The anything in this triangle, what I'm showing you here, where I'm pointing, is the best case scenario you can get. Rather, why this was the major reference point, and this has become one of the most important reference point in current context. And look at this, it is coinciding with that also, the top of this channel. So it is impossible or beyond possibility, which I see right now, from whatever the chart we have been looking at from stocks perspective and all that. This index is facing this area, like it's unable to even go anywhere nearby. That's what I believe. And if it comes anywhere in that zone, you should bless. You are the blessed people. You should thank your gods, and whatever you can. I would say my suggestion is, I'll come to that later maybe, but I would suggest that, these are the best times to get out from whatever we have just seen in past, right? The corrections are deeper, please understand, and the rise is always weaker. It is not don't live in the realm of hope. Okay, so it is very important that you have hope, but you prepare for the worst. Look at this, it's giving like a breakout. So there are lots of things that people will check and they will tell you, no, no, everything is foolish, nothing is wrong. Maybe I may be wrong. I don't mind being wrong, but I would not be happy if I go wrong and be caught on the wrong foot then. Okay, so I would be happy to take along my losses. I'm comfortable with that. I think I'm hitting the timeline, so maybe we'll go. Do I have enough time, Rupa, or
Sir, around 5 minutes more.
that's only? So we have very limited time, I think. Can you do me a little bit of favor and give me some,
Sure.
some leverage?
yes, sir.
Okay, थोड़ा रिश्ते का I can उठाओ थोड़ा फायदा, right? Thank you so much.
Sir, I think there's just one question which is coming, which is directly connected with what you just said, that corrections are deeper and the matter of hope. That what should a person do if they're sitting on losses of around 22 to 30% on some of the stocks?
I'll come to that.
Yeah.
I'm 100% aware of that, and I've provided for that also. So now what now? So history suggests relief rallies are sold into. That's what we saw, right? We all saw that. Deeper corrections are always possible, and we have seen whatever history has said, and we are just trying to just put the things in perspective. Financials and auto are to be best to be avoided because they were the heroes of last bull run. If you see any auto stock, any auto ancillary stock, they gave humongous returns on the last bull run. Even look at financials, you look at Bajaj Finserv, Bajaj Twins rather, both of them, then HDFC Twins or Kotak Bank or Axis Bank or ICICI Bank, whatever you see, even ICICI SBI had come to almost on the verge of a breakout point. So, and now all are in bad shape, seriously. And Kunal has given a very good perspective, but one has to understand whatever those bottoms Kunal has shown. Guys, I would like you to go through and revisit those charts again, because the bottoms, if you're watching, they may take 3 months, 2 months, 4 months, and if you buy somewhere higher, the fall can be back-breaking. You may just see that it looks very small fall because it's a larger chart, right? It's a monthly chart. So a 50 point on let's say 300 rupees will be like 20+%, right? So you need to understand everything in percentage terms. Now FMCG pharma safe havens, all of us know, but right now very expensive. So now what happens if survivors, like whenever this whole thing comes to an end, like Kunal has also shown you. So financials will reward big, because then the cycle changes again. The cycle of the weaker players going out of business and stronger player cannibalizing on their smaller players business, or rather merging them into them, and they become much bigger. So then you have larger, bigger, and more dangerous entities being made. So that's what happened in Lehman crisis in 2008, if you remember. So those things are actually it's like you keep on filling up the balloons, and some balloon will survive, and then it will keep on growing because more balloons are put in. There are some patches attached, and those balloons can burst sometimes. So we don't know, but you can play the rally from after the whole fall has tapered off. You can look at financials, because those financials will reward very big. Because see, stock like Infosys, which fell almost 85%, or Wipro, which fell almost like 95%. Now your 100 rupees has become 5 rupees. The 5 rupees can grow 3x. Okay, so 5 rupees can become 15 rupees, or even 30 rupees. So there will be substantial money, but it will never come back to 100 so easily. So you have to understand that 5 rupees to go to 100 needs 20x kind of return. So it is very important. Somewhere you have to draw a line. Somewhere you have to say, okay, Right now also we are placed at X level. My portfolio is down by 20-25%. How much more I can take a hit? Maybe if it goes below XYZ, I will get out. So 30% maybe, or 35% if you can afford. But that's it. Like, I'll tell you why you need to keep those lines. So I call it as, means we all call it as stop losses, but I would like to give a small example here why stop losses are important. Stop losses are like, we have it with everybody around us. I don't know why we don't have it with stocks. Like, you have a stop loss with your wife, with your kids, with your parents, with your friends, with your, I don't know, colleagues, whatever you have. If somebody does some, kind of harm to you, or you felt offended by their words or, actions, you hit a stop loss. But I don't know why 30-35% fall on a particular stock or a index should not offend you. Why you should hold it for, up to 5% in case of, and not every stock will become Wipro or Infosys. Please understand that. So please keep a line, keep, divorce, take a divorce from those stocks, like you do with your families, but don't do with your families. Rather, think about it like, rather give chances to your family, but not to the stocks. We do the other way around. So that is what I would like to tell you. And no capital markets is something that I keep on shouting on social media most of the time, though I have not mentioned it here to just to, not to kill you with the repetition, but I couldn't avoid talking about it right now. Avoid small and micro caps right now. Only if you have very high conviction and you know the business and you see like, everything is fine and you can verify it, then only put your money. Because see, understand one thing, it's the comfort is in the big caps, but in proper kind of, sectors. So mid caps and small caps don't have too much of relevance in, overall big players portfolios, because they don't put their money too much into mid and small caps. And right now also, if you look at the whole percentage of mid cap small cap in total market cap, context, it is way low. It is like historically lowest area. So seriously, nobody is bothered about small caps and micro caps. They are, they are the stocks which actually give big money in bull markets. Otherwise, they are simply to be avoided. Okay. Markets tend to overdo both sides, like, euphoria on the upsides and despondency on the downside. So that's what we have to avoid. If you are caught in euphoric times, let's say your 100 rupees had gone to 150 rupees, and now you have seen a 35% correction, so you are back to 100 rupees. So at least you have your capital on hand. But let's say you invested 100 rupees just few months back, and now you're seeing 30-35%, or 25% losses on your books. So we'll come to that, as Rupa had just mentioned. Now, profit and loss statement will separate chaff from the wheat. Now, why I'm saying this is, whatever is happening, current up moves, do you know how many companies will be able to survive? Nobody knows. And have we ever seen a country close down, all industries closed down for more than 40 days, 30 days, 20 days? Never. Now, just calculate 30 days out of 360 days is more than like 12%, means 8%, right? So 8% kind of loss of revenue is, if you look at the the margins that companies show on their balance sheets are not well, on an average. If you look at the whole mid cap, small cap, and whatever, you will see margins are just around 4 to 5% on their revenue. So imagine 8%. This is take, you're losing out opportunity of almost 2 years. Like, let's say, even if you calculate it properly or whatever, 1 year's profits have gone absolutely. So companies which can survive and bounce back, those will be visible from their balance sheets. Don't look at the March balance sheets, because those are done and they were dusted. We actually started lockdown only 1 week prior to closure of the year, financial year. So those will be useless. We need to check June and September balance sheets actually, and guaranteed June balance sheet will be the worst for every stock. So now very few stocks will be able to show you any kind of uptick on their, or better kind of they would better their March results or previous year results or whatever. So quarter on quarter they will be in a very, very bad shape, or even year on year they will be on a very bad shape. So price is the ultimate truth. Like we technical analysis call this bhav bhagwan hai. So the price actually reveals what is happening, and if smart money is buying, it will be revealed on the charts. So the charts, reading of charts is very important. You should try to read as much and learn if you are not aware of how to read the charts. Okay, now cash is king. Why I'm saying that? So how do you generate cash? Before we do that, let me take that question what we had just received a request for, is to see what can happen or what we should be doing, right? So yeah, I'll have to maybe go from presentation mode to normal mode. Yeah, I made a small table here for you guys. Now look at it. Your investment was 100, okay, and current loss is 25-30%, somewhere in between. So you lost 30 rupees, or from the top or wherever it is. So current value is 70 rupees. Okay, now best case scenario, the market has to go 50% up, so you will be almost back to your normal this thing. Now if the double bottom happens, so this is the second scenario. Maybe I can say the possibility of a double bottom retest, because we have seen in past Kunal has shown us lots of charts where the stocks usually do double bottoms, double dips, and even go sideways, consolidate, so you get your opportunities, right? And your PF may dip to maybe 50%. So right now you are at 70%, you may see some losses and maybe 30% loss, and you will see maybe your portfolio dip to 50 rupees. So now you are at 50% loss. And the last worst case scenario, even Kunal has shared something. So I'm not even looking at what Kunal has said. That is 60% approximately from the top, but what I'm trying to say is 50%. Like we have seen the worst of the markets, and markets have dipped from 25 ranging to 66% approximately. So let's look at maybe an average of 50%. So if markets fall 50%, your portfolio, you may, for 100 rupee may become 30 rupees, or your 70 which is right now can become 30. Now if you have 70, 80, 75 whatever in your hand, or if you have 100, you are a lucky person, I would say sell. Okay, the worst thing is you may not make any money when it bounces back, or you may lose some up to 25 to 30%, right? That could be the worst case scenario, that you have taken losses on your book and you're holding cash and you're not into the stocks, and maybe that is the best case scenario. But we have seen best case scenario chances are very low. Our the way the whole thing is playing out, the way the economy is going to react to all this thing, we don't know whether this can play out, and we have seen past it doesn't play out most of the time. So you will be shown rosy pictures, but one day when they are showing you the moon in your hand, or you're looking upwards towards the moon, they will just remove the carpet from under your feet, and that's what you need to be worrying about. So you need to draw a line somewhere. If your portfolio is 70, maybe 50 or whatever, somewhere you have to draw a line and get out. So if you had gotten out, and let's say it comes to this, now your 70 rupees whatever you conserved is same stock, let's say, is available at 50 rupees. You will be able to buy, like 140% more, right? Approximately quantity, but you sold at 70 rupees, so you have 770 rupees in hand. The stock is at 50 rupees, so now you can buy 140 shares approximately. So that helps you recover, and when the stocks maybe doubles again, comes back to that 100 rupees, you will be in a better shape, you will be in profits. Okay, and in this case, when it is 30, so 70 rupees will be able to fetch more, like 233% rather. So I'll just given you 200, because you may not be able to buy at exact bottoms also. Okay, so if that happens, just imagine if the market just doubles, you will be in fantastic, you will have 200%, you will be at 140 probably. Okay, and if market triples, or the stocks go from 20 to 60, so your portfolio if you were not doing anything, 30 will become 60, but your 70, when you buy and deploy it at 30 or 20, that will grow 3x. So your 70 will become 3x. You will have 210 or 200% returns on your capital itself. So Rupa, I think I have considered and explained to that point where people had this question. So let's come back to that last few slides, maybe 1 or 2 slides left. So what I was telling is sell DERTs, generate cash, use systematic withdrawal plan. Now we are at quite a big, reversal, because from 7,500 you are at 9,300. That is 1,800 points. That is almost like more than 25%. That is substantial, right? 25% is a substantial move from the bottom. So use SWIP SWPs, that is systematic withdrawal plan. Okay, keep on selling your shares every week, even whatever the price it is. If it goes on going up, so you can keep creating cash. You can start creating cash in this way. Invest in leaders in major corrections. So where the major corrections that we can see, as Kunal has also mentioned, maybe a double dip at 7,500 or 6,250, which is almost 50% of the top. That is where you can start investing, right? Market tend to fall 40 to 60% on an average. So we have seen that, right? We have seen most of the time on an average 40% is a normal thing, 60% is a abnormal thing, and we are in an abnormal situation. So even if you think of 40%, that is 10,500, you should be happy that you came out in a better way out. But then did you take advantage of the whole thing? Usually a double dip or U or W shape recovery is seen most of the time. So to make W or U, you have to make double bottom for U, or multiple rally upward and then come back and then go up. So we are seeing a little rally, but we don't know how the bottoms are going to be made. But most of the time you never see V-shape recoveries. If there is a V-shape recovery, then you are in a bull market. So that is not possible. We are not in a bull market. You need only 5 winners, but need to invest in 2025, because you don't know which 5 will run and which 5 will give you multi-bagger returns. So you can create a small set of equal weighted stocks, or maybe in top conviction stocks I would put maybe 4 or 5 stocks which are top conviction. I would put 8 to 10%, and in second rung, where I'm like I have a scope that they can again they have survived and then they can do better. I could put maybe 4 to 5%, maybe 8 to 10 stocks. Okay, and then last one, which are the small caps and micro caps, where I believe there would be huge potential. So I can put maybe another 20% of my total portfolio. And of that 20%, how will I divide it? By between 8 to 10 stocks I will invest. So in top, you will have 5 stocks maximum. In the second bucket, you will have 10 stocks maximum. In the last bucket you will have 10 stocks. So in top bucket you will be investing almost like 8 to 10%. In the second bucket per stock, that is, in second bucket you will be investing 4 to 5%. In last bucket you will be investing 2 to 2.5%, depending on whether you have taken 8 or 10. So that's how it is. SIPPing is a great way to build long-term portfolios if you suffer from FOMO. So if you feel no, I don't want to get out and I have money and I want to put in the markets, these are not the best times to put bulk money. Okay, so the best thing to do is, if you feel that fear of missing out is there and markets will run away and I will be left, if you don't believe whatever has been said before, the history part or whatever, and you have got better ideas or you have better systems, rather I would say sip into a stock in this kind of way, but avoid DERTs. Absolutely try to go for leaders. Because again, if you put your money in DERTs, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Why waste it? So, and understand one more thing, holding cash is one of the biggest issues with most of the traders and investors. They do kujli trade. They can't control themselves, so they keep on buying, selling things, and then sometimes they buy and for intraday trading, and they are stuck, and it becomes a long-term investment. So even if you have to trade only the quality. Don't trade, or trade those stocks which you would love to actually wanted to buy, but were avoiding and waiting for them to come down. So in worst case scenario, you would be stuck with a beautiful stock rather than ugly kind of stock, ugly duckling. So avoid that, right? and no position is also position. Realize that, and when you do that, so don't be in a hurry to deploy cash could be deployed at later levels, lower levels, because things will settle down, things will take play time, and the results that will come out will determine everything. So currently what we are seeing is only the euphoric probability that things, the markets will open up, but when markets open up, the reality will strike, and we don't know what is the real reality, because nobody has seen what has happened earlier. The workers are out of they have all run away most of the places, and so labor would not be easily available. Then opening up a company will not mean you will get cash flows or orders flowing into your system, because you would also want to be careful with whom you are doing business, and those orders, whenever they come through, you would want some guarantee kind of thing. So those things are not there, so you will be finding it difficult. So businessmen will be very, very careful with their orders taking or procurement also. So either way, you need to be very, very careful, and those will play out. See, for a businessman also, this is a major event, and they would want to uh, play it safe. They will not go and become aggressive. Okay, so you need to understand that. Now, post Corona, kya karna? So, Corona is a game changer. Many old ways of doing business will need to be revisited. So, like, right now we are seeing many small businesses doing online, taking orders, and they have developed their own apps or website. Like, I have posted today on Twitter, there's a person who sent me a message with a picture, and he said, and his mobile number, and he sent me whether you want to buy groceries or vegetable, then, ABCD is my, packets for various codes, and for vegetables or groceries you order it, and he supplies to you. So people who are smart, who are nimble, or who are doing lots of things will actually become winners. So businesses which are able to adapt to newer ways will be the future winners. So which are the businesses which can actually survive and thrive? So retail, telecom, okay, those are the two business which are sitters, easily anybody can talk about it. So retail is like, because it is a provider of services, and it actually enables you to live life properly and easily, comfortably. So retail will not never go out of fashion. So always look out for businesses which don't go out of fashion rather. So retail will be there. Telecom, now only 2 or 3 companies are left in India which are in viable shape, only 2, and third one is still trying to grapple with the problems, the Vodafone. So only 2 companies are there which are going to take advantage of it. So Bharti looks almost on the verge of runaway, and yeah, so you can invest in Bharti, maybe you can invest in telecom retail business. So retail, Reliance has both retail and telecom, but it has a problem with petrol. So crude prices going down, the economy not opening up, the people not traveling will create a lots of issue for them, because the demand will shrink crazily for them. So maybe, and it is a major chunk of their business, so that will have an impact on their financials. Now, biggest problem that I said with why we don't we need to compare India and in the means Indian markets to US markets is we don't have new age technology providers listed on Indian markets. Like you don't have Make My Trip listed, you don't have other stocks which are into this kind of current new age technology like Amazon, Netflix, or Google, Alphabet, or whatever Microsoft that is, the FANG stocks, Alibaba, and all that. We don't have those listed. So seriously, maybe 1 or 2 stocks which look good could maybe one is Zomato, which is a proxy play on new age technology stocks. Then you have got this. In retail there is DMart, then there is DMart is very expensive, then there was one more, that India Mart, okay, that has come. Then Affle is into, because that could look very interesting, Affle one. So, and metals could be the jokers in the pack. So in why US market has run up almost 50%, and why we are not running up 50% is because Amazon, Netflix are part of their index, and those are making lifetime highs. We don't have stocks which are making lifetime highs, which are part of the index and which have enough weightage. Like we have maybe HUL, but ITC is way far below on the chart. So though has a good weightage, but it's not able to show any kind of and our IT businesses are not new age technology business. They are means back end services kind of business. So those are something means can have a major impact, and that's the reason like we may not see equal kind of move, but the patterns could be very similar. Like Kunal had shown those rising wedge, I also shown to you Rahul's rising wedge. So those patterns would be very similar, but the magnitude of the rise may not be same. But if you get it for any reason, guys, you are lucky. You should be happy. You should get out on the rise, right? And that's what I would suggest. It's a choice that you need to make on your own. Metals could be the joker in the pack, because metals are in a position where maybe next 2 3 months when things work out properly, maybe they have hit the rock bottom, so and they were not performing overall, but at some point the cost of manufacturing metals is much higher than the cost of what is the current market price, so it will react, and that will play on the metal pack, and people will try to buy for future. So that's where the metals usually are cyclical stocks, so you can watch out for them. Restaurants, cinema halls, malls, and public facing interaction businesses will have a rough 2 quarters or even more. So be very careful. I would say 2 quarters is what we need to watch out for. Third and fourth quarter are the places where you can think of deploying your cash. Okay, so that's it, guys. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity. I hope you had a great time. You got some good perspectives of what you should be doing with your money and how to look at markets.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. Indeed, stay away from the ugly ducklings. We would